autumn of 1891, Henri Matisse came to Paris as an aspiring art student in his 22nd year. Born in a small town in the north of France on the last day of the year, 1869, he was a late starter, having previously begun a career in law, which he had studied in Paris in 1887 and 88. He found himself denied official acceptance to the École des Beaux-Arts. Discovered by Gustave Moreau, he was invited to join that painter's atelier in 1892. Over the next decade and more, Matisse would very gradually evolve and discover the new movements in French painting. Throughout his long career, Matisse's art was nourished and replenished by a variety of 19th century movements: neoclassicism, realism, impressionism, and post-impressionism, though not necessarily in that order. As a whole, Matisse's style is inconceivable and inexplicable without this tradition, and yet he developed into one of the most inventive of 20th century masters. Matisse's nominal historical position was a leader of the Fauve. However, Fauvism was a fragile, short-lived movement. If Fauvism had not existed as a movement around 1905, it probably would have made very little difference in the overall development of Matisse's art. The direction followed by Matisse in the years after 1906 is exceptional from many points of view. Unlike his Fauve friends, he seems not to have flirted seriously with the nascent Cubist techniques. He appears to have been determined to solve the problem of modeling a figure simultaneously with the creation of a sturdy, decorative rhythm of line and a powerful contrast of large, flat areas of color and value. His goal was perhaps similar to that of the Cubists, but his means were totally opposite. That Matisse was convinced of his own personal methods at this point saved him from the crisis that overtook many of his contemporaries when they first encountered Cubism. His earliest original paintings tend to be still lifes, and only slowly did he expand, first to landscape and then to major figure paintings. Matisse conducted a private dialogue between himself and his working space, together with its contents, models, other works of art, and those inanimate objects whose sole purpose was to stimulate the creation of the pictorial image. Woman Reading, 1894. Matisse achieved his first public success when this modest, intimate interior was exhibited in 1896 at the Salon du Champ de Mars, organized by the Société Nationale des Beaux-Arts. Matisse had little or no knowledge at this time of contemporary trends, and this interior is largely the result of museum study. The theme is furthermore prophetic. The subject of a woman reading recurs in his paintings as late as the 1940s, and the interior itself, almost studio-like with its emphasis upon pictures on the wall, unfortunately not identifiable, as would be the case later, is suggestive of a major preoccupation throughout the artist's oeuvre. Picard's Atelier. The Desert, 1896. Nude in the Studio, 1898. This bright study in orange and green is one of the artist's first major paintings of the female figure. The technique is suggestive of Neo-Impressionism, but is here handled with surprising impetuosity. In fact, this picture, which marks Matisse's first liberation from the somber lights of his early manner, certainly owes its technique and luminosity to the landscape studies done in Brittany during his third successive summer trip in 1897. Landscape, The Pink Wall, 1898. Still Life, Orange, 1899. The Invalid, 1899. Painted at the end of Matisse's year-long stay in the South, first in Corsica and then later on in Toulouse, the Invalid is one of his most ambitious and successful interiors of this period. In spite of its small format and sketch-like appearance, its command of a wide range of bright colors, while still somewhat lugubrious, places the picture in the artist's proto-fauve stage. The spatial illusion is thoroughly under control, even though there are patches of bright, advancing colors in the background. A cut-off chair on the left serves as a familiar repoussoir, a compositional device used to expand the illusion of spatial depth. A round table covered with a white cloth dominates the center of the space of the design, becoming through its scale and brightness the focal point of the picture. Self-portrait, 1900. Standing nude, 1900. Interior with harmonium, 1900. Male model, 1900. This monumental picture is one of the finest of the early works and is intimately related to his early explorations in sculpture, the Bronze Slave being a companion work in that genre. The painted version of the serf seems literally sculpted on the canvas, and the same is almost true of the heavy swatches of blue, green, and other colors that form a far from neutral background. The planes of the body are brutal in their generality, as is the abruptness of their intersections in space. Notre Dame, 1900. Matisse does not seem to have painted the scene from his studio, Quai Saint-Michel, overlooking the Cité, the Parvis of Notre Dame, the quay, bridges, and surrounding buildings. As in most of these views, the bulk of the cathedral does not loom especially large, and the emphasis is on providing